Welcome to our video on Fleet Street, and Fleet Street is where the Strand sort of finishes and the new road, which is Fleet Street, then takes over. And at that point you have this, which is the Temple Bar. Now, Temple Bar was the principal ceremonial entrance to the City of London from the City of Westminster, and in the Middle Ages London expanded city jurisdiction beyond its walls to gates, which they called bars, and they were erected across the thoroughfares. Hence you got this right bang in the middle of the road. Now, this bar was called Temple because it was located adjacent to the area known as Temple. And funny enough, we've covered various Inns of Courts around here as well. And I will put a link to a couple of those videos up in the top right hand corner for you. And you remember, they are absolutely fantastic places, literally just off here. Now, originally, the reason why these bars were erected was to regulate the trade into the city, and in the 19th century the Royal Courts of Justice were located to its north, having been from Westminster Hall. Now, just to the south of here is Temple Church, along with the Inner Temple and Middle Temple Inns of Court. As this was seen as the most important entrance to the City of London from Westminster, it was formerly long for the custom for the monarch to halt at the Temple Bar before entering the City of London, in order for the Lord Mayor to offer the corporation's pearl-encrusted sword of state as a token of loyalty. Sitting on the Strand right at the top of Fleet Street, you have this, which is the Royal Courts of Justice, commonly called the Law Courts. The building houses the High Court and the Court of Appeal of England and Wales. Designed by George Edmund Street, who died before it was completed, it was done and completed and built in the 1870s and opened by Queen Victoria in 1882, and it's one of the largest courts in Europe. As the legal profession are in and out of here, that's why you have the 4 Inns of Court right around the corner. Next, we go for a cup of tea. So this, if you want to call it, is the head office of tea. Yes, this is Twinings' flagship store, right at the top of the Strand where it meets Fleet Street. I know we're cheating, but it's right by each other, so we thought we'd bring it to you. Now, here, there's over 300 years of history, and this shop is the oldest tea shop in London. So it's well worth coming in, and the smells from the loose tea is absolutely incredible. Now here, you've got lots of great things you can discover, including they have a leaf sampling bar. There's also a wide range of tea and accessories which you can see here, and various gifts, etc. And I tell you what, whilst this looks empty now, when I was in here, well, when I walked straight in here, I filmed a little bit later, but it was absolutely packed with people grabbing tea and mementos to take all back with them all over the world. Now, previously we've covered the tea bar both at Harrods and also at Fortnum and Mason, world famous ones, but of course if you're going to come to the original place, it's here at Twinings. Now, not only have they got these things that you can buy and do, but you can also do something quite different. You can take part in tea experiences and masterclasses. So the tea masterclass is a great introduction to tea and its 6 categories. You also can get to know the family and some of the British tea milestones along the way. That's looking at the Twinings Family History Masterclass, or you can even create your own blend with the help of a tea expert during a bespoke blending session. So you can do all of that, but you've got to go to their website and book it in advance. And as you go, you can see you've got some of the history of the tea things here as well as you walk through the store. So if tea's your thing, this is definitely the place that you want to come to. So that's Twinings right at the top of the Strand and the oldest tea shop in London. Great! Right. Now to our next adventure here on Fleet Street. Now, don't rub your eyes. Yes, it's a Lloyds Bank Royal Courts of Justice branch. Now, the reason we're actually covering it is, well, inside it's meant to be absolutely incredible with intricately carved pillars and an elegant fountain as well with massive space. But actually, when I was here, just looking at the outside with some of the amazing architecture around the outside and some of the sculptures as well, I thought, do you know what, this is one that we've definitely got to bring to you. And just look, see, if you're in the wrong place, you're being watched by these 2 fellas from up above. Rumour has it that they might turn it into a massive Wetherspoons. Yeah, I don't think so, not for the area that's here, but we wait and see what happens to it. Now we go to the old Bank of England, which stands right at the top of Fleet Street, which has now been converted into a public house, but it's not a Wetherspoons, alright? A bit more tastefully done than that. Not that I'm knocking Wetherspoons at all. it's got its place, I guarantee you. So anyway, this is the Old Bank of England, he says, getting out of that run rather swiftly, and it was constructed here in 1886. And it was actually a branch of the Bank of England that was put here purely for the law courts business. So that's why you have that. So you still have the original one, but you have this one here as well. And the vaults beneath the pub once contained gold bullion and are said to have held the crown jewels for a period as well. So here we're going to have a quick look at the top of Fleet Street, and what's absolutely incredible is the remains of some of its history. The road has been important as a through route since Roman times. Now, during the Middle Ages, businesses were established and senior clergy lived there, with several churches remaining from this time, including Temple Church and St Bride's. Now, the street became well known for the printing and publishing at the start of the 16th century, and by the 20th century, nearly all British newspapers had operated here. Now, of course, much of the industry moved out, but you've still got evidence of that. There you go, the London News Agency just there. So you've still got evidence of it around in the buildings here down Fleet Street. And also, you get this fantastic view down Fleet Street as well into the City of London, and that is St Paul's Cathedral. Now, tucked away just behind Fleet Street, you have this, Dr. Samuel Johnson's court, where his house was. Now, if you've not heard of Dr. Samuel Johnson, he was an English writer who made lasting contributions as a poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, sermonist, biographer, editor, and lexicographer. In the Oxford Dictionary of National Biography, it actually calls him arguably the most distinguished man of letters in English history. Now, he was the writer of many, many books, but after 9 years' effort, Dr. Samuel Johnson wrote a Dictionary of the English Language, which appeared in 1755 and was acclaimed as one of the greatest single achievements of scholarship. And those of you about to hit the comments button, yes, that was portrayed by Robbie Coltrane in the series Blackadder, and I know a lot of you around the world watched that comedy programme. I really hope you're enjoying our look at Fleet Street and all the different places that you can see around it. And if you are, you know what to do. Give us a thumbs up, will you? And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then you need to do so. So many cracking videos to come. So, like all major cities, if you've got someone famous that lived there, why not have their house redone, have it look like it was when they actually lived there, and open it as a museum? And this is Dr. Johnson's house. So if you fancy coming to have a look, you can do. Just have a quick look online. You'll be able to find out when it's open, how much it costs, and then you can come in and see what his place actually looked like back from the 1700s. So, Dr. Johnson lived just behind Fleet Street, and of course Fleet Street was world famous for all its printing and for the newspapers. And as I said, there's still evidence of that around, including this massive thing here right on the side of one of the buildings on Fleet Street, and also Magpie Alley, which we'll bring you a little bit later, but we've also brought you in a previous video when we were looking at some of the secret little passageways in London that you need to visit. But once again, the view down Fleet Street over Ludgate Circus, which is where the traffic lights are at the bottom, to St Paul's Cathedral is fantastic and well worth coming down here just to get a good shot. So what's interesting is a lot of the buildings used by the press can't be touched on the outside because they're listed, and there's lots of other building work going on down here as well. Okay, let's go to the pub, shall we? Yeah, let's go for some relaxation. And let's go to this ye old Cheshire cheese, literally on Fleet Street and down this side passage as well. The original pub that stood here has been in this location since 1538. Now you'll see on there it was rebuilt in 1667 because of course it was taken out by the Great Fire of London of 1666. Now, whilst there are some older pubs in London still, including one on the other side of Fleet Street called the Tipperary, and that was made of stone, so therefore wasn't affected by the Great Fire of London, this pub continues to attract interest due to the lack of natural lighting inside. It's thought that the vaulted cellars are thought to belong to a 13th century Carmelite monastery, which once occupied the site. So if you really fancy stepping back in history and coming to a place where regular people that came to have a drink here included Charles Dickens, G.K. Chesterton and Mark Twain, then this might be the pub for you. And how about this for a bit of just extra evidence on the floor? And if also you want to add some other names to that, just to name drop, Alfred Tennyson, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, P.G. Wodehouse, all said to have drunk here. And of course, with Dr. Johnson being round the corner, he was in here as well. So I mentioned this place a little bit earlier. It's called Magpie Alley. And the reason why this is just so good, it's a little alleyway that takes you as a cut through round the back of Fleet Street, but it also gives you as well the whole history of printing down Fleet Street and in London, with these rather detailed tiles showing you the history of printing in London. So if you've got time and fancy coming having a look, this has been so well done. It's one of those places, well, not many people know of, but once you find it, actually, do you know what? You need to come down here and you can learn a bit of history just by reading the walls. And as you can see, you've got some real detailed drawings of printing presses, plus how about this as a photo superimposed onto the tiles as well. They really haven't spared anything with this. So if you're actually doing printing and interested in the history of printing, definitely a place to come and visit when you're in London. So, have you been up and down Fleet Street before? And I hope you enjoyed our look at some of the things off it. An incredible place with this right at the very top, just at the bottom of the Strand. Now, another incredible area literally off the top of Fleet Street are the Inns of Court. And I've put a link to one of our videos which we've covered with the amazing places you can see there up in the top right hand corner.